Well, hello everyone. My name is Dar Rath and I'm the pastor here at Faith Lutheran Church in Port Elgin, Ontario, Canada. And each week I bring you a story that takes about 5 minutes to watch. And this week the story is from a book called Absurdly Strange But True by Bill O'Neill. And the title of the story is How'd They Make It Back? Most people love either cats or dogs. And there are plenty of people who love both. Cats and dogs seem to bring out the best in people, and they're usually there to reciprocate that love and affection. While cats are there to get some food, but that's fine too. Unfortunately, pet owners will have to face the loss of their beloved pets at some point, sometimes multiple times, and it's never easy. But perhaps worse than a pet dying is one that runs away and gets lost. You never know what happened to Fido or Fluffy, and you can only hope that they found a good home somewhere. But what about these rare times when they come back? I know of a guy whose cat got spooked and jumped out of his car about 30 miles from where he lived. He looked and looked and looked but couldn't find his cat, so after a few hours he gave up and went home. Then a few days later, his cat showed up on his doorstep. The cat looked a little beat up from the journey, but was in otherwise good health. This case is by no means unique either. There's the incredible 1992 case of Sue Anderson and her cat Nova. Sue, her brother, and Sue's 4 cats packed up a car in Maryland and drove across country to California. When they were about 200 miles from their destination, Nova went missing. Sue and her brother looked for Nova, but to no avail, so they had to continue to California. But then a year later, Sue was greeted outside her work by a cat that looked surprisingly like Nova. Sue looked the tiny kitten over several times and called its name, coming to the conclusion that it was Nova. Now, for all you skeptics out there, I have one more case that proves you can't get between a feline and her home. In 2013, a cute little tortoiseshell kitty from Florida was on a trip with her family about 200 miles from home when she got spooked and took off. Note, the cat owners, you probably shouldn't bring your feline friends on long trips. Anyway, the family looked for their cat and couldn't find her, so they returned home heartbroken. But 2 weeks later, they were surprised to get a phone call that their cat had been found in their town by a concerned citizen who brought it to the local vet, who was able to track it back to the family from its chip. Now that's pretty cool, but it's not just limited to cats. A collie named Lady was camping with her family, the Regraffs, in May 1992 in northern Minnesota, when a forest fire caused a quick evacuation of the area. Unfortunately, Lady was left behind with the Regraff family, who thought they had lost her forever. But 2 weeks later, they got a call from someone pretty nearby. They had found her. Lady had traveled more than 150 miles, nearly home. There are countless other cases where cats and dogs have traveled 100 and more miles across unknown territory to make it home. Scientists are still at a loss to fully explain how it's possible, although in the case of dogs, it's believed their combination of super smell and the love of their owners drives them home. For cats, though, I guess you could say it's a bit more cynical. Cats' super sense is their hearing, so they are possibly helped on their journeys by their ears connecting them to the magnetic fields. Overall, cats have a better sense of direction than dogs, but when Fluffy makes it back home after being lost, it's not necessarily because she's drawn to you, but more so her territory. Some people say it's absurd to think a cat can use its hearing and magnetic fields to function as a sort of living geolocator, and I would agree it certainly sounds absurd, but do you have a better explanation? Wow, what an interesting story. I've actually seen a couple of movies recently about dogs and cats being lost, and then the owners trying to find them and taking days and days and days, and they would be 100 miles away and be able to find their way home. Just amazing. Our love of animals is something else, and when they get lost, boy, we just absolutely have to find them to make sure that they're all right. So there's another story there, Absurdly Strange But True, from that book. And we'll see you next week, and blessings on your day.